You know, the idea of world schooling, it's just incredible, right? Trading a classroom for the entire planet. And it's not just some fantasy anymore. For millions of families, it's their actual reality. But what happens when that dream runs headfirst into another one? Your child's dream of becoming an athlete? That's the puzzle we're going to solve today. I just love this. This is from a 10-year-old named Henley, and it just perfectly nails the magic of this whole lifestyle. It really gets to the heart of it, from the person who matters most, right? It's not just about seeing places, it's about living in them and letting them teach you. But here it is, the big question for so many of us, for social smarts. If you're a parent in this world, you know this feeling. What do you do when your kid is a serious athlete? You know, when their passion needs a team, a coach, a regular training schedule. All of a sudden, that big dream of freedom can feel like it's totally at odds with your child's own ambitions. So how do we fix this? Well, in this explainer, we're literally going to build the playbook for settlers and strategists. We'll kick things off with the core dilemma. Then we're going to uncover a hidden rule that trips up almost every single family. From there, we'll get practical, building a training plan you can do anywhere, figuring out how to find a team, and finally putting it all together into a global blueprint. Okay, first things first. Let's really dig into the dream versus the day-to-day reality, because the whole digital nomad lifestyle, it has just exploded. I mean, look at this number. We're talking about an estimated 40 million people around the globe for social smarts. So if this is your life, or even just something you're thinking about, you are so not alone. This is a huge, huge cultural shift we're all a part of. But you know, as amazing as it all sounds, the reality can be pretty tough. The biggest complaints you hear from people aren't about bad Wi-Fi, they're about feeling lonely, disconnected, and not having a community. That loss of routine and social connection is very real, and it's something you absolutely have to solve for, especially when you've got kids. All right, now for the part that almost nobody talks about until it's way too late. For explorers. Let's pull back the curtain on a hidden bureaucratic nightmare that can completely wreck your plans if your kid happens to play competitive soccer in Europe. It's called FIFA Article 19, and what's so wild is that this rule actually started from a good place. It was designed to protect young, talented players from being exploited by shady clubs. You know, to stop them from being trafficked. A really noble idea. But for families like ours, legitimate nomadic families, it is a massive roadblock. For settlers, you have to prove with a mountain of paperwork. I'm talking work contracts, school records, residency documents, that your move has absolutely nothing to do with soccer. And get this, even being an EU citizen doesn't get you a pass. The process can drag on for so long that your kid could miss an entire season of games. For a child who just lives for their sport, that's not an inconvenience. It's absolutely heartbreaking. And this just shows you how different the rules are depending on where you go. For strategists, in most of the EU, you're stuck with that long, painful FIFA Article 19 process. Germany, though, is a bit of an exception. They actually have visas for academy contracts, which makes things a bit easier. Then, in the US, any player born outside the country, even a US citizen, needs this thing called an international transfer certificate. It's a whole different game. Okay, so that's all the stuff you can't control, the bureaucracy. But what can you control? This is where we shift gears and build your own internal playbook, how you can keep your young athlete growing and improving no matter where you are on the map. So how do you actually train with a system when you're always on the move? The key is a really simple, proven framework for strategists and settlers. Just think of it in 3 basic phases. First, you build that solid foundation with stability and balance. Then you add strength on top of it. And only then do you focus on explosive power. It's not just a smart way to train. It's the safest way to build a young athlete and keep them from getting injured. And here's the best part. It's totally practical. This little fit anywhere routine shows you exactly what to do. For settlers, for that first phase, stabilization, it's all bodyweight stuff. Planks, balancing on one leg. Easy. For strength, a few resistance bands are all you really need. And for power, a medicine ball and a couple of cones will do the trick. You can do this whole thing in a park, on a beach, or right in your Airbnb. No excuses. And remember, this is all part of a long-term game plan. For strategists, the research is pretty clear. Most of the truly elite athletes, the ones at the top of their game, they played a bunch of different sports when they were kids. Specializing too early can actually backfire. The goal for those early years, say from 3 to 12, is to build a well-rounded athlete. Think gymnastics for body control, track for speed. Then, from about 12 to 15, you can start to focus in. It's a much smarter path to long-term success. Of course, we all know an athlete's development is way more than just physical. It's social, it's emotional. You have to build a support system for your child and, just as importantly, for yourself. So families like us are basically finding their tribe in two main ways. For social smarts, on one hand, you've got these permanent hubs, like a place called Boundless Life. You stay there for months at a time, and it gives you a really stable base for school, sports, and making deep friendships. Then you've got the other approach, these short-term, pop-up retreats. They're more like fun field trips. Lower commitment, super flexible, and a great way to meet people. Which one's right for you really just depends on your family's travel rhythm. Okay, let's talk about something super practical. Safety. For settlers and strategists, your basic travel insurance, it almost certainly does not cover competitive sports. This is a detail you cannot afford to get wrong. This little chart breaks down some of the best options out there. Safety Wing is awesome for families with little ones, since kids under 10 are often free. World Nomads is great because it covers a ton of activities, including team sports. And IMG is built specifically for student athletes. You have to do your homework on this. Okay, it's time to bring it all home. Let's pull all these different threads together and build that final, successful blueprint for your world schooling athlete. So here it is, your 5-point global athletes blueprint. For strategists, number 1, travel slower. Seriously, slow nomadism is your secret weapon against all that red tape and against feeling lonely. 2, plug into those world schooling hubs. Let them be your social anchor. 3, get the right insurance. Please check and double check that it covers competitive sports. 4, train with a system. Follow that stability, strength, power model we talked about. And finally, number 5, and this might be the most important, prioritize belonging. Because honestly, nothing makes a new place feel like home faster than joining the local team. So it all comes down to this one question. We know, without a doubt, that the world can be the most incredible classroom. But if you have the right strategy, find the right community, and have the right mindset, can it also be the ultimate training ground? Well, it seems like the answer is a big, resounding yes.
If this touched your heart, please subscribe, like, and share it with your family. Save this for more meaningful content ahead.